Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
Tact is the ability to describe others as they see themselves.
And Dale Hummel.
We see things not as they are, but as we desire.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
I'm not sure about that.
What?
Our discussion prior to recording has got me out of.
I'm telling you, Clifton should do an outtakes episode. It would be the best.
This one cannot be released.
It's the best ever.
No, you've thrown me way off scale. I'm a mess.
It would be the best. The outtakes before and after recording, the best episode in the history of the world.
Well, I know we're going to talk a lot of things political, but before we do that...
You are not going to ruin my mood today. You're not. You can't. It's not possible. This has been the best week for Trump since he got elected. And you want to know how I know that people agree and believe and see what... So...
It's about damn time.
Well, no, but I'm just telling you, like, I can tell. So last night on social media, I posted that, let me read it so I get it right because it was very good. Dear liberals, your house of cards has completely collapsed, and this has been the best week for President Trump since Election Day 2016. All right. So back when Trump was running the first time, anything I posted politically got a lot of likes. Do the whatever, no. When he was running for re-election, no. This is the first time I posted anything about Trump or whatever. It's already over 1,000 likes. That's how I know people are seeing it.
Because your followers are the exact pool, the perfect contemporary base for the census.
But I mean, there's been some diehards that will like the stuff, but it's like in the hundreds. We're already up over that. Yeah, people are.
No, there's probably something to it. I'm okay with that. Far more importantly, did RFK eat a dog or a goat?
RFK, look, I'm not defending RFK because I think if you listen to the man on some of the issues, if he will do what he says he will do, now that's a big if, he would not be a bad president, in my opinion. Now, there's some stuff.
I agree with that.
Some of it, first a couple months ago, he told people that he had a worm that ate part of his brain. Now, Vanity Fair is saying he ate a dog and he sexually assaulted his nanny. So RFK's 8% is now going to 2%.
This is not good.
So do you remember?
He did defend that it was a goat, not a dog. And either way, I am a little offended either way.
Stop. Do you remember when we were in the Pennsylvania senator's race with Fetterman and it came out that Dr. Oz killed puppies and I said, this is over. It's done right now. I
remember that well.
I said, it is over. Y'all can kiss it goodbye. He is beat. Same. RFK didn't have a chance anyway. You can't even get accused of eating a dog. It is not. You cannot mess with puppies. I
haven't had time to research that, but listeners, if you have any knowledge of this or an opinion, I would like to hear this.
He says it's a goat. He says it's a goat.
They say it looks like a dog, and I have not seen it, but
I'm telling you, the Fox and Friends panel, they all said it looked like a dog this morning. The picture looked like a dog.
You cannot eat a dog. You barely can eat a goat and run for president. Barely.
You can do nothing wrong to puppies and run for any political office. I don't care what. It just does not work. It does not. There's a weird fascination in this country with people and dogs, and you can't do it. I mean, I'm telling you, it just does not work. But so like our Beyond the Circus dropped, and so y'all heard. If you listen to that, then you heard all the stuff about the debate and all this other stuff. So just a brief summary. Biden was an absolute mess on the debate. President Trump was pretty good. Then the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump does have immunity on official acts. So the other 3 court cases that were against him for documents in January 6th in Georgia, they're done.
They're not done, but they're most likely done.
Well, if
They're
not
done, they're done until after the election at a minimum.
I was going to say, if they're not done, which I think they will be done, nothing's happening before the election.
After the election, there's no sense in it. That the whole
Number
purpose.
two, and more importantly, as soon as the Supreme Court, and we didn't know this when we recorded Beyond the Circus, as soon as the Supreme Court made their ruling, Trump's lawyers send a letter to Merchan, the judge that was over the New York conviction case over the hush money, and saying, now this, whatever, yada, 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 we think that this conviction can be overturned. And Bragg, who ran on and got to be the New York AG because I'm going to get Donald Trump no matter what, he sends a letter to Merchan saying, you know what, I'm okay with you delaying the sentencing and letting them state their case on why they think this should be overturned and all this. And Merchan has now said that he has delayed the sentencing from July 11th to September 18th. But in the letter that he sent to Bragg and Trump's attorneys, it even said that, we'll delay to September if it's even needed, warranted or something. I sent the direct.
That wording was there.
Yeah. I sent you in Clifton the exact wording last night. I can't remember. But yeah, I was like, uh-oh.
So doesn't it concern you a little bit that Bragg is rolling over that easy?
I think he knows he's done.
See, I don't give him that much credit. There's something concerning there, and I can't put my finger on it.
But so this is just like Trump win, Trump win, Trump win, Trump win, Trump win. I'm worried when the bottom's going to fall out, but it has been a really, really good week. So the one thing that I think is funny is all these Dems are saying Biden's got to go. Even Pelosi said the concerns are real and valid and all this other stuff. Here's the problem. And I'm going to tell you people, we won't know till Sunday, but I think by Sunday, we will have an answer on whether Joe is going to be the Democratic nominee or not. Because Friday, he is taping an interview with George Stephanopoulos. And if the powers that be in the Democratic Party tell George to rip him up, George is going to rip him up. Because George wasn't overwhelmingly kind to him the last interview when he was still on his side and a cheerleader. Where they're at is, people won't remember this, but back in 2020, Biden was losing the Democratic primaries miserably. And then Clyburn comes in and steps in, and he's the kingmaker. And so we win the Carolina primary because of him, and all the rest is history. He's the nominee. He becomes president. Yesterday, that man goes on television and tells the world that while he is not sure, he doesn't want to force Joe out, and he's not sure if Joe should stay, but if Joe goes, camel toe is in. And you can't argue.
I don't think a lot of people associate that he did play a large role in the last election for Joe. That connection's not being made.
Sir, he's the reason he's president.
Yeah, I'm not arguing. I'm just saying that connection's not.
And when he said that yesterday, it's over.
So I agree. I think what's interesting to me, and I love this, from the time that Joe got on stage and they just threw him under the bus like you've never seen from the liberal media afterwards, less than 24 hours, a large majority of them have flipped again, standing up for him, talking about his age being nothing more than experience. It was just a bad night. He had a cold, actually defending him and talking about how great his record was, how great the economy is, how he's got the world under control, which are all lies to begin with, complete lies. And if anybody's paying any attention, they understand this. To all of a sudden now we go, Pelosi even came out and was supporting him. Within probably 12 hours, she flips again to be negative towards him. I'm just entertained by how they beat him up, they prop him up, they beat him up. They don't know what the hell direction to go. That's what a mess it is right now. They really don't know, and they all try to take their marching orders from I think Obama and some of those up there. And at this moment, Obama has not come out negative, correct?
He hasn't said shit.
No, I when he does, that's when I think the cards all fall. And he's going to have,
because I'm telling you, he's going to use Stephanopoulos.
He might.
That's where he's going to take his cues.
It's just whether Stephanopoulos is following the marching orders. I think he absolutely is, other than the fact that he was a little harder on Joe in the last time than what I ever thought, if he's truly in step.
Well,
that's my only concern. But I would have told you he's absolutely part of the machine and will follow marching orders, other than that hesitation.
I think we talked about the fact that all this money that Joe has, it either has to go to him or Camel Toe.
Unless they find another loophole somehow. But that is how it's intended.
And I thought that was a problem. Well, here's the bigger problem. And I didn't even think about this, and this got brought up here on some news station. And when I was talking to Clifton before you came on, you cannot, as the Democratic Party, when a lot of their platform is inclusion and, the poor people and the minorities and all this, you can't say, okay, we're going to pass over the black woman that's vice president for a white person.
Oh, they're going to do it. You just
they're
watch.
Not.
They're going to do it.
They're not.
There's going to be a large push from many of them to do it, and that perception alone is going to hang them.
Their biggest block of voters are black women.
Agreed. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying that they'll get it done, but there's going to be a large number of them make that push, and that optic alone will hang them.
It's not going to be good. And the other thing that I thought was funny, this came out this morning. So Biden's campaign was talking about the 2 hours before the debate was the greatest windfall of money they've had by hour. And they've raised all this money after because people still support and love Joe and all this other stuff.
I'd call crap.
Okay, well, the numbers came in and Trump, Republican RNC hauled in $331 million during April through June, the second quarter, and that top Biden had 264. More importantly, Trump has more cash on hand than Biden does. It's $284.9 million to $240 million. Now, the Republicans never have more money than the Democrats. Never.
True.
That tells me something.
I almost feel like I don't need to post-debate to send money to Trump because it's not needed at this point. And that sounds terrible.
I think you should send it anyway.
Oh, I will. But at this point, unless another candidate comes in, which we predicted long ago, which I still believe will happen, we're fine. If Joe's on the ticket, we're fine.
You cannot put a white person in over Camel Toe. You cannot.
I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying there's a large segment of those in control that
I tell you, the one that wants it
way.
is Whitmer, the bitch from Michigan. She wants it.
I wish they'd give it to her.
Oh, she
is so
the
nasty.
Only person that polls lower than her in the list is your Governor Pritzker. It is Pritzker.
Yeah, I would take either one of those on the ticket. I am good with either one of those on the ticket. It would be there's no problem there. Pritzker's optics, and if you listen to him at any length whatsoever, and he shows up at our state fair every year, and about 20 yards from our pins, he'll give a speech, and he draws all of 12 people probably. And I go over, and I think I maybe mentioned this to you. I attempt to listen to him.
You videoed it and sent it to me last year. I was so appreciative.
This year, I'm going to ask questions.
Oh, good.
Where you and I may discuss what those questions would be with you prior to, but that is my goal. I don't know
if it's the day I'm there judging, you ain't gonna get to ask any questions.
You know what?
I'm gonna be there.
It's usually that next morning.
Oh, I'll be like, excuse me.
No, you will. This is going to be perfect. Perfect. Absolutely. You can raise your hand, say, excuse me, sir, Mr. Pritzker. Hey,
And he gonna look at me and be like, "Oh, this is one of my people."
Yes, yes. He'll take your question. He will not take mine.
Absolutely, fat ass will. Then it's gonna be all downhill.
Yeah, he'll ignore me. Very
so. Which, one thing that we lost Clifton, I think. I don't know if that matters because
looks like it's still recording.
But the one thing that I haven't even talked to you about this, but just to twist on things since this last debate was so bad, I think the next debate they should just take an average U.S. citizen that wants Biden to be the nominee and put them up there against me, and we will debate.
I'd love it. I'm all in.
I think it would be great.
I'm there.
Because there's no sense in Trump and Biden going back at it again. Like, let's just put two American citizens up there and let us at it. I'm all for it.
Okay, we're going to run long. Did you hear the 25 congressional representatives that today is Wednesday that are coming out and going to have a call with Biden to step down? Yes, this big snowball is getting larger, rolling downhill.
Yep, it is.
And we do not say anything about the Atlantic, the flight over the Atlantic that had a little turbulence.
Huh?
You see that? A flight from Spain, which I believe we may be going that direction here in a couple weeks, coming from Spain to somewhere in South America, hit so much turbulence that there was a guy ended up in one of the overhead baggage things. I mean, literally, they had to lift him, get him down from. He was up there where you put your bag, basically. I'm looking at this.
Did they say why this happened?
Just turbulence, and those that didn't have their seatbelts on when they went into a nosedive. I mean, they were on the ceiling, and they're showing that first class area, those capsules like where you fly, blood all over it. It looks. I can't believe how little attention it's getting for what it.
I don't get capsules, sir. Okay. That's only on flights that are long way.
God.
Long time.
Well, I sometimes stick my head up there through the curtain and they give me a dirty look and make me go back to the cheap seats. But they look good. They look really good.
Oh my.
Yeah, there was one other thing we have to discuss. And
what?
We're running long. Are you aware that the China's now set up basically a spy station in Cuba?
Yes, I knew this was coming. I hoped you didn't see that this morning.
How do we continue to let this happen? How?
Did you not see our president on stage Thursday night? That's how.
But there's got to be handlers. There is nobody.
The handlers are a little busy trying to decide how their boy keeps their job or how they off him. Okay, they got shit going on.
Wouldn't you think? We could take a poll of kindergartners, and they would tell you this is a bad idea to allow things like this at this level. Then we've got somebody in Michigan, one of the people, I don't know who she even is, running for office that is approving or pushing for a Chinese electric battery company that we, the taxpayers, federal and state, are subsidizing. So with these crazy ass electric vehicle mandates that Biden has in place, 80% is what they said this morning of the parts, pieces, everything are coming from China that we're mandating that we have to implement. Him and your boyfriend Newsom out in California. It just blows my mind that we have the level of ignorance in this country that we do. And for some reason, they decide to run for public office. I'm out. Just absolutely blows my mind. I have to call out for, I'm going to do this each week now until the election. This week is Wisconsin.
Oh, Jesus.
We have people from Wisconsin. Listen, I've had positive mail and maybe even a little bit of hate mail from Wisconsin. More positive than hate.
What did you do to the cheddar heads?
I think it was something about, it was those dang frame sheep again.
Oh.
I think. Well, anyway, we know we have listeners in Wisconsin. Do you remember? You do. I bet you could almost give us the exact number. How many votes Biden beat Trump by supposedly in Wisconsin last time?
It wasn't many, but I don't remember.
Less than 20,000, I believe.
Yeah.
If each of our Wisconsin listeners, and any of you in the border states, if you can kind of slip over and vote in Wisconsin, I'm okay with this. We got to play the way the Democrats play. If each of our Wisconsin listeners would find 1, 2, maybe 3 people that normally just don't go vote, too busy, whatever it may be, and just grab them by the head and drag them to the polls with you. It honestly may make the difference in Wisconsin this year. So I'm reaching out with a plea, and we'll probably try a different state next week. But those of you in Wisconsin, please, I don't know where the numbers are right now, but I think it's pretty close. Hopefully it's not close post-debate, but I've got a bad feeling that you have something called the University of Madison that attracts a lot of liberals to your state. And I understand because we have Chicago, but I know the rest of the state has tremendous conservative values and common sense. I'm sure of it. Absolutely sure.
I like Wisconsin. I did their state fair. I did World Beef Expo. I like them. I think they're good people.
Okay. Any other current events now that we've gone 20 minutes?
So, top 10 intermediate hogs in the BTRJLA. First place, Avery Layton, Ohio. Second place, Waverly Millard, Idaho. Third place, Clara Kowalski of Oregon. Fourth place, Jaylee Hoffman, California. Fifth place, Santos Oliveras, Arizona. Next is Zephyr Landau of Kansas, followed by Taylor Eubanks of Idaho. Eighth is JC Milliron of Idaho. Ninth is Maddie Coates of Arizona. And 10th is Jaden Standiford of Oregon.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
I would like to thank ShowFresh H2O for their continued support of this podcast and their support of the junior livestock industry. I appreciate the no-nonsense science behind ShowFresh H2O. It's very simple. Neutralize the chlorine. Animals are more likely to drink. We've talked about this every week for a very long time. Heat of the summer, and today's topic is even going to push this a little bit harder. If you want your animals to look like they do at home, hydration is key. If they'll drink more because you put ShowFresh H2 on the water while traveling, it's a win-win. Low cost, high return. ShowFresh H2O can be found at your local farm store, show supply trailer, and at swampfox.com. Not to be confused with the website that shows RFK's image eating a dog.
There you go.
Ryan, it's time. The topic, the name. I don't know if people would understand what it is just from the name. Do you think they would?
Probably not.
Snapshot. And I will go ahead and explain it just briefly and then just throw it right into you because I'm kind of excited about it. We oftentimes point out the good and the bad and state the things that others don't want to talk about. I think it's time to open the window up to the fact that when Ryan, myself, many people across the country are standing out there in the ring evaluating these animals, they're getting a snapshot, a very quick snapshot, and expected to understand the good, the bad, and the different of each one of those animals. And sometimes it goes very well, and they're absolutely dead on. But if we stop and realize everything that comes into play, if we're at home with that animal, say we raised the animal, we purchased the animal, whatever it may be, we're with them morning, noon, and night, and we know exactly the good and the bad. We see them in their comfortable home area where they're on feed, they're on water, everything's in a zone that they're very attuned with. When we put them on a trailer, haul them halfway across the country, hope that they eat and drink, hope that they're not too stressed, hope that the daily routine that they no longer have doesn't throw them off too much, drag them into the bright lights in an arena, not knowing for sure if they're going to be comfortable in there, and expect them, or in our mind, we think they still look exactly like they did at home. And that is our goal. This does not always happen. And I think there's so many levels that we as breeders, as families that exhibit livestock, we tend to have this image of what that animal is ingrained into our head. And irregardless of what that animal may or may not look like that day for so many various reasons, we do expect that judge to see the same thing. That's asking a lot. Not only asking a lot of the judge, the animal simply doesn't look like what we envision it did look like, or it actually looked like at home. Ryan, you can sort this out probably even much better than I can and make this explanation, but I think this is a good topic. I hope we get listeners to understand what we're trying to get across.
Yeah, you know, I think that the point of this topic, and I had brought it up in a different way, and we kind of then Dale brought this up, and so we kind of meshed two ideas into one here. Thing is I've said this before, you know your animal better than anybody else does because you're with that animal every single day for multiple hours and all this other stuff. And so you know everything that's right, everything that's wrong. And in a matter of, but you've spent days and months analyzing this animal. In a matter of 5 minutes, a judge is expected to do what you've done over several months.
And it's not even 5 minutes. What would the average judge have per animal in the ring?
Oh, I think it would be way over 5 minutes. But
per animal?
Oh, I'm just talking in a class.
Yeah. Oh, yes, longer in that class. But if you look at, say, 20 animals in that class, and they take
I know what I average, and I know my average is way, way quicker than most. So I'm going to say between a little over 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe per judge. Not me. I'm way under that. But anyhow, so again, in a couple of minutes, that judge is supposed to figure out everything that it's taken you months to dial in. Not easy to do.
And you're looking at that animal in the wash rack. You're looking at it in every aspect, every environmental issue, every environmental situation you can imagine to find those flaws or to see the positives. The judge is getting exactly that snapshot in that arena, whether the animal's behaving, not behaving. So many things come into play.
Right. And the other part of this is I also think that not only is it just time, because you've seen them forever, the biggest thing that, and I think Dale brought this part up, and I brought up another part, that animal that you've seen at home when it's comfortable in its surroundings, that it's used to, and you've watched your kids set it up and lead it around and do all this stuff, that animal always doesn't work that way when it goes in the ring. And it doesn't always set up the same. It doesn't walk the same. It doesn't hold its head the same, all this stuff. And you're still seeing what you see at home, and the judge is seeing something completely different because that judge has probably, most likely, never seen that animal. Because very rarely do we judge an animal multiple times. And so that first impression, they have no idea that at home, Dolly the sheep walks perfect and the head is, held high and all this other stuff. And when Dolly comes in the ring and hits the gate and stalls out and ducks under, that's the first impression that judge gets. You don't have that impression in your mind, but that person does.
No, and we tend to lean towards what we want to see. We're seeing in our mind, we have that vision when our child got out in that yard and everything was perfect. It was walking with its head up, just floating, or we've got this one stuck perfect. We're not ingraining those bad moments when that animal wasn't cooperating at home. So it's human nature.
Right.
We're trying to battle something that's near impossible.
Yeah, and so those are things. But the one thing that I do want to bring up, and Adele brought it up just a little bit, I know that we are very critical on the whole judging process, and I think we have to be because we're the only ones that talk about it. And so, but I do think that we need to talk about the other side, and this is just what this topic right here is about. It is a lot harder to do than what anybody on the outside of the ring thinks it is. And if you don't think it's hard, then I suggest to you, if you've never done one, to put your butt in the ring under the bright lights and do it yourself. And you'll have a whole new appreciation for someone who does do this.
There is so much more to that, Ryan, than what our listeners, you think you've been around this industry all the time and you've been to 500 shows, but it's the truth. Until you step out there, you just don't understand.
No. And the thing is, I mean, I don't know. I can guess at a percentage, but I don't know the actual percentage, but I'd say at least 75% of the people that go to a show have never actually judged one.
Agreed. No, it just is. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's a different perspective. That's the best way I can put it.
And so that's the thing. I'm just saying it is a lot more difficult and challenging than what you think it is from outside the ring. And so those are things that we want to talk about. And I will use some examples. And so, like for me, and so I was judging a county fair. I don't know if it was winter or spring. Anyway, several months ago. And the classes were like anywhere from 8 to 12 head in the steer show. So one of the classes comes in, just KF walks in, and he wins this class. And, there's probably 12 head in it. So big class, all this other stuff. I study it, whatever. And we all, if you know me, like Dale does, or watch me judge, structure's a big priority. Think this calf moves good, angles are right, everything's great. He wins. And so we go several classes later and probably close to an hour till we get to that champion drive. And so in my mind, that calf that I'm talking about that wins that class, he's going to be the winner. So we come back out and I'm looking. I'm like, you know what? That offside knee, he looks like he's leaning on it pretty hard. So I walk around the front, I check it out, and I have him, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he's just standing wrong or something. So I have him walk again. And I don't do that very often. I'm like, we're going to walk these things again. And he moves pretty good still. But we go back to the stop position, and we're kind of leaning awfully hard on that offside knee. And I just said it on the mic. I said, when this calf came in class, this was not an issue. I said, and I don't know if the calf is getting tired or what, but it is an issue now. And it was an issue to the point that the calf didn't win the show. But if I would have seen that in class, my point is, if I would have seen that in class, or that would have been evident in class, which it wasn't, that calf would have probably never elevated out of that class. And so those are things that there's so many variables that happen that, like Dale says, you get a snapshot of that animal in that moment. And so it's very, very tough. And I don't know.
And you just brought out a point that I hadn't thought about, Ryan, but I've witnessed this so many times that an animal maybe gets through a class or even a division, or from class to division, or from division to the grand drive, that all of a sudden the grand drive, you see it hits the judge. Shit, I missed this. And whether it's a front leg, whether it's just something that isn't quite right, that somehow they miss because they are in that very small window for the snapshot, and it hits them. My problem is I understand that you're not going to catch everything, but what bothers me is I'll watch that judge and I can just see it when it hits them. You can read them. And guess what they do most of the time?
They don't admit it, and they just do whatever.
They just keep on and going. Because,
and that's why I brought that story up. I don't think I missed it in class. I'm being honest, because structure is important to me. But when he came back out 45 minutes later, it was a problem. And that's why I said, I'm going to say it right here. This was not an issue in class that I saw. It is an issue now, and it is going to directly affect the outcome of this decision, because it is an issue for me now. And like I said, I had several people come up and said, most people wouldn't have done that. They would have just gone on. And what I said, I can't do that though. I'm not that way. And, but that is something they do, they do change. And I'm not saying they change in 5 minutes, but you get out of class, you got to wait. Sometime, I mean, right now, it's 100-degree heat wherever most people are showing. That can change an animal in 20 minutes.
Absolutely
I promise you.
And this leads us to a whole nother episode topic, and I don't even want to dive into it now. There's a situation that we may select our division champion, say at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And it's not until that evening that we go into the grand drive. And in some cases, it's not until the next day. And in some extreme cases, possibly 2 days later. That doesn't happen often, but there's a significant amount of time. And this is a whole nother episode. In some situations, and I actually promoted this a little bit because at the Illinois State Fair, there's a situation where it's 24 hours plus before they go and select the champions. That judge from out of state usually is going to have downtime for that day, and they would like to probably go watch other shows and walk around the grounds. But all of a sudden, they're intermingling with breeders, with exhibitors, with a lot of different people. So they actually will write down what the champions are the original day of the show. That is decided, put in an envelope, given to the superintendent, never even opened until after the Coliseum Grand Drive, where in theory, nobody can say, well, such and such got to the judge in between. Well, the other thing is the animals will change. And I don't know if you want to put more value on the day the actual show was or what they look like in that grand drive. That's a very gray area, very difficult decision, but we will progress onto that in a whole nother episode because I'd love to talk about that. Ryan, I want to bring out just a few points. I'm just going to give you a litany list of some of the things that may confuse or make it cloudy for the judge to know exactly what we see in that animal at home. And we've already hit some of these. The distractions, in other words, the comfort level of that animal that we see in the environment that is comfortable at home versus the show. We talk about the travel time, the stress on the joints. Maybe it's not eating, maybe it's not drinking, dehydration. There's so many things that can come into play even before we get to the ring. Then let's say we're at a show where we couldn't bring that animal out in the ring and it's not comfortable with whatever that bedding is in terms of walking on it and just feeling comfortable. What if we have a nervous showman because we're under the big lights? That animal's going to sense that showman's nervous and maybe not cooperate as it did at home. I see this all the time in goats. In some situations, they're like a horse. They get pin sour. They know where their pin is in the barn, like a pig. And when they're walking away from their pin, they won't go. When they're going the direction of their pin, they'll want to get ahead of the showman. So we have some issues there. You talked about heat. If they start overheating in that ring, especially in our cattle and some of these steers that have been in the cooler room, our vision of them is that they're head tied up in the cooler room. They've just been blown out, look incredible, versus out there panting with slobber coming out of their mouth and they're really struggling in the ring. We still see that same animal that we saw at home. Showman distractions, whether that's coaching from the outside, whatever it may be. What about the showman bouncing, distracting the judge a little bit in our pig bounce? What about, we talked about here a week or two ago, the exhibitors running with their sheep? I'm not sure we can truly evaluate a sheep that's in high gear. Not getting a solid brace, not getting the legs set up. We could go on forever, Ryan, and just here's all these little things that if they're not going well, that judge is not going to see the same thing that you envision at home when everything is perfect.
Well, I think that's you could list a million things.
Yeah.
But the point of it is even though you're watching that actual show and seeing your kid and seeing your animal out there, in your mind, you still have the image of when that animal has looked its very best. And not only at home, but when it looked its very best standing there in the chute right after it gets completely fit up, or on the table and it gets completely fit up. And that image, even at that show, moments or minutes before, is still not the same image that's out in the ring. But that's the one you have in your mind.
It's not even, and it's a flaw that our nature drives us toward. It's something we have to be consciously aware of because you're just going to, that's the direction that our minds push us.
Right. And so that is in there. And like I said, that judge doesn't have those images. The judge has what is out there before him. And, as like I said, I watch a lot of shows, but the majority of the shows that I watch are national shows or state fairs. And so they're large classes. And so I want to bring up a point that, when you're on the sidelines, you're watching your kid and your animal. And there may be a point where little Johnny has that thing 12 o'clock high. Cannot be any better. But the judge may be 10 animals away. And when he gets or she gets to little Johnny, now we're not 12 o'clock high. That is the snapshot that judge is getting of the kid and the animal, not the one 3 minutes ago when the heavens had opened and the angels were singing and everything was perfect. Well, you don't understand it and you don't get it. And you don't get why he didn't or she didn't see it then, etc. But that is a part of it that people don't understand.
Not only a part of it, this happens every time a class goes into the ring. I promise you, if there's 10 animals in that class, half of those out there and those on the sideline will see that really good, everything is come together when the judge is not necessarily. I feel it all the time. I'm thinking, wow, he or she's got that one. I'm wanting that judge to turn their head and look right now.
Yeah, like that's right me. Now. I'm like, you need to turn around.
Yes, look now. At my animal now.
Yeah, right.
And then when we're struggling, we're saying, well, just keep on, just let's get this back together before we turn around. And you made the comments. The judge has two eyes. How many are watching?
Well, and that was what I was leading into next. And this is how I came. This was kind of the basis or how I presented this topic. Dale, the judge has got two eyes. At any given show ring, there's probably 200 eyes watching that show and watching that judge. And my favorite, when I'm not judging, my favorite thing to do is to listen to everybody around ringside. Well, do you see this here? Do you see that there? And I'm like, they're down there, way down there. They're not seeing it. And then, or you walk back, you're walking to the ring and somebody's coming back and saying, oh God, that last class, the one that won was this, and the one that was third, yada, 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 and all this other stuff. And everybody's chiming in and all this stuff. And there'll be times when I'm in a group that's walking from the thing and somebody says, yeah, well, he or she missed this on that one that was second, and everybody's like, yeah. I'm like, I just stood up there with y'all for 5 minutes and nobody said jack shit.
This is true.
I mean,
it just is.
And so, I mean, that's just part of the thing. And that is why I said at the beginning, I'll say again, if you think it's easy and you think you can do better, feel froggy and leap on in there because it's not. And when there are 200 eyes at ringside, they're going to be able to catch more things than the two that's actually the one making the decisions. And that is just a part of it that is very, I don't even know if people have ever brought this up before. That is a part of it that you have to accept and understand. And I don't even know if this subject has been breached in a public forum before.
No, I don't either. And it's surprising to me that we haven't just openly, I'm surprised we haven't discussed it on here earlier.
Right. Yeah. And so,
I don't know. I hope we've explained this. And oftentimes when Ryan and I are kind of excited about a topic that we are really into, sometimes it's not as popular as what we'd hoped it to be, and other topics that we're not as excited about get extremely high numbers of views. But hopefully we're getting this across. And I think it's good for all of us to set back and just give that person out there in the ring a break from the standpoint they're not seeing everything we see. They're not, it's just not, they're not superhuman. Now, does that mean that we may come into a class that every showman, every animal performs really, really well and they're getting a very, very good representation of what we have, that image in our mind at home. Yes. But remember, we did an episode last week called what, Ryan?
Barn blind.
Yep. Even if everything's going well, there's so many things that human nature throws us curveballs. And we truly believe what we have in our mind, even though it may not be right.
Yeah. And I just think that the next time you go to a show or you're at a show or whatever, and judges are well aware when they step into a ring that I used to say, if you make one person happy at a show, you've done a good job. I don't even say that anymore because I have been to shows, because meaning normally the person that wins is happy. I have
Ryan, time out. You and you're not concerned about making one person happy, but you're admitting that doesn't always happen. May I ask you what you did yesterday? What breed of pig did you use?
No, that was 2 days ago.
2 days ago. What breed of pig did you use for Grand Champion pig?
And a spot.
Okay, no, I'm going to rest my case. I'm done.
That's not even what I'm talking about. And anyway,
continue then. Just continue.
But I used to say, if you can make one person happy, a show you did good. I don't even say that anymore because I have been to shows and I have judged shows where the person that won wasn't happy because they wanted some other animal of theirs to win. So I don't even say that anymore. And so part of that is baked in the cake when somebody accepts the position as a judge. But I also think that when we are on the outside of the fence, and me included, we need to understand that that person has 2 eyes and a few minutes to assess the situation, assess the animal, and all the variables that are going around when we have had months and months and months to do this. And we talked about that we could list a million things, heat, bedding surface, all this stuff that maybe that animal's not reacting as well as they do at home. Those same things affect the judge. When it's 106 degrees, that judge probably isn't going to be quite as good.
Might be running in your eye. You never know.
When it's 72, you know what I'm saying? That if the animal is having a hard time walking on that bedding, it's probably uncomfortable for the judge too. All of this stuff, nobody thinks about that.
And how many rings, and I think more cattle rings than not, how many rings have just terrible lighting, or you've got the glare coming in from one end? I mean, to the point where you're seeing outlines. It is bad sometimes.
Yeah, lighting is awful in the majority of show rings.
I don't think many show rings, and I'm sure it costs more money to do it. Very little thoughts put into just how good is this lighting going to be.
The most overlooked part of any show ring is lighting.
We have a cattle ring at Illinois State Fair now that, and I think I brought this up before, that I'm telling you, looking in from the outside, I can't see anything. I can't tell. I mean, this was built new for that specific purpose, and it was still a train wreck.
But I just think that we are very critical on judges on this podcast because I think we need to be. We always need to expect the highest level of competency, accuracy, all those things from judges. On the flip side, and so all my friends that judge are like, oh my God, you were actually nice about us for once. I'm in this group too, kids. But just remember that small time frame to assess that animal snapshot when you have had months and months and months to see your animal and understand it and know its very best. It's not as easy as you think. And I want to believe, for the most part, that everybody that steps in a ring wants to do a good job. And sometimes it's just odds are against you in a lot of ways. So there you go.
Very good. I love it. Are you ready for your favorite?
Hold on. I have to get my sponsor. Hold on 1 second.
This was good. I enjoyed this morning's discussion.
I would like to thank Leonard Truck and Trailer for being the question and answer sponsor of this week's podcast, not contest. For over 60 years, Leonard Truck and Trailer has been the most trusted trailer expert for hauling champions to victory. For journeys that go beyond the ring, Leonard Truck and Trailers offers the largest selection of every type of trailer by 40 different manufacturers. Their trailers are designed for excellence and comfort, so you arrive in style while ready for your animals to compete. Haul with confidence whenever the road takes you, featuring a nationwide concierge service and warranty administration. Leonard Truck and Trailer offers industry-leading financing, nationwide delivery, trade-ins are welcome, plus they can create and install custom vinyl graphics for your trailer, and they have a full line of apparel and hats to promote your farm and ranch. Please visit Leonard Truck and Trailer online at leonardtrailers.com. Thank you, Clint, Tiffany, Leonard, Basic Animal Health, and Leonard Truck and Trailers for your sponsorship.
Thank you, Leonard Truck and Trailers. Greatly appreciated. Okay. I had a sale last night, Ryan.
Yes, I'm aware.
It ran pretty late.
I was sending you rude text messages.
You were disrupting things. So I was very rushed. I'm still searching for a third question, by the way. But we will pull that up here shortly, as long as I can get back on my Facebook. But I do have 2 of them written down right now. Okay, the first one. This one is a little bit longer, but I think good. Comes from Brian. When are we going to force these show animals to actually produce when their show career is over? Notoriously, you hear the third one in class will be the best cow. Why isn't she first then? These top females go straight to the donor pen and more times than not, never actually produce. You want to explain why, Ryan, that we talk about, or you hear some of them say the best cow is in third? Why?
I don't say that because you sound really dumb if you do.
Understand?
And also, I'm just going to tell you that, at least from my standpoint, I don't think that you can appraise that, evaluate that, and make that judgment on which one's going to be the best producer.
I think you can get a little bit of an idea that, and I'm not saying this is negative at all, but the more highly managed and fed, fit, all those things an animal is, that environment they've been in has made them look more so the way they do than maybe what they started with. Those are ones you would assume maybe aren't going to generate on as well. But I think we're making assumptions here, and it is hard. But I think those assumptions are made on a regular basis out in the show ring. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't, as I think maybe you would lean that way. But there is one thing I had a discussion with one of the more intelligent people I've ever met about this just a couple days ago. Fetal programming, epigenetics, and actual genetics. What plays the biggest role in what that animal is going to look like? And it's frightening when I sit back and, in my opinion, it's far less true genetics versus things that are happening in the environment 2-3 generations before that animal's even produced. And we're going so deep far into there. That's a whole nother episode that nobody will probably want to listen to, but I am ultra interested in. That sometimes we believe we're these genetic masterminds and we can breed animal A to animal B. When it works, we're just brilliant. When all reality, there's so many factors at play that we have zero control over or limited knowledge over. You never, Ryan, talk about the 1 in third being the best cow.
No, because I'm going to say again, I don't know if...
Have you heard this?
Yes, I've heard it, and you sound dumb, but but I truly, I'm just saying from my point of view, and you will get mad, and this person will get mad, whatever. I call bullshit on the person that is out there and says, well, this one is going to win because this one's going to produce the best dog. I don't see how you say that, sir, because I am telling you, some of the worst show animals that I ever had raised some really killer ones. Some of the best ones never raised a killer, but also in the same token, I just tell you, that Beefmaster cow Bob that we had that won everything that wasn't now tacked down, her first calf heifer, she just went to her first show and was Supreme Champion. So that happens too. That's why I say I call bullshit on all of them.
There is no prediction. Leave it alone. Don't put yourself in a position to make that prediction. I'm okay with that. The next one comes in actually as a topic recommendation, but I think we can throw it in question and answer. And then if it is something we can pull up as a topic later, I think it may be good. New topic: how young is too young to show, especially if you can't do so alone? In other words, the parents going out in the ring with the children, I believe.
Yeah. So this has been a little hotbed of a topic amongst my little inner circle group here over the past couple of days. And I saw this question come in and I really was hoping that you did not get it. There you go.
I was pressed on time a little bit.
I was really hoping you didn't pick this one because anyway, here's the thing. I want kids to start as young as possible, to get experience, to do all the things that we need, because they need that when they get to the actual competitive deal. I think that maybe we are kind of maybe over on the side that right now some of these super competitive parents are putting their kids out there when there's just really no point, because they're not sure what they're doing. And if you can't, I'm just going to say, we have Pee-wee showmanship, we have stuff like this. If the kid can't go out there and operate the animal by themselves, maybe you should reconsider stuff. That's where I'm going to leave it.
Fair enough. I'm good with that. And this is coming from a person who has very, very intelligently chosen not to have children.
Yes.
Because there is that, as a parent, sometimes we have emotions that overtake common sense when it comes to our children and what they should or should not be doing.
And the one thing I also want to add, I have seen 3 and 4 year olds go out there in every single species and do a job that is well deserving of being out there on their own. Every 3 and 4 year old is not created equal.
Agreed. Huge differences.
There you go.
Huge. Final question. This one, I should have had this one at the top. Ryan, I heard you discuss you would be at the Illinois State Fair judging. What are you judging and when will you be there?
I'm not sure.
Ryan, time out. You know what? Nobody's asking me if I'm going to be at the Illinois State Fair.
Because they know you're going to be there. I don't even know if it's announced, so I don't even know. I don't know if it's secret.
No, I don't know. I don't think there's no. You're fine.
Pretty sure. It's August 8th. I don't know what time. It's August 8th, and I'm judging sheep.
I believe it's a Friday night, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a Thursday. I don't know.
Maybe it's August 9th.
Are you going to be there? And I haven't discussed
this. No, I'm sorry. It's August 9th. No, it is August 8th. It's Thursday, August 8th. Thursday.
Are you going to stick around for a day or two afterwards because you love the Illinois State Fair?
I cannot, because I have to go to the Missouri State Fair to judge.
But if you didn't, you would stick around Illinois.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
And you claimed that Illinois is the what?
It's a very strange environment for a state fair. That's what
I believe you used the word toxic.
Yeah.
That's okay. I understand. Well, Ryan, this was enjoyable this morning. Thank you for explaining things so very well. I hope that RFK can prove he ate a goat and not a dog, and other things keep going the right direction. But I promise you, this is a Wednesday morning, and by the time this drops Friday morning, the world will probably have changed. But until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?